The exorcism of Emily Rose. It began with whispers in the night. Emily Rose, a bright and devout college student, started hearing voices when she lay in bed. At first, they were murmurs, indistinct, shadowy things that melted into her dreams. But soon, they became relentless, screaming her name in the dead of night. Her family, deeply religious, feared something unnatural was at work. Emily had always been a quiet and obedient girl, dedicated to her studies and faith. But now, she was different. She barely slept, her eyes sunken and dark-rimmed. She spoke in strange languages she had never learned, and objects in her room seemed to move of their own accord. At times, her body twisted unnaturally, racked by unseen torment. A doctor diagnosed her with epilepsy and psychosis, prescribing medication that did little to ease her suffering. But the priests who saw her believed something far darker had taken root in her soul. They convinced her family to allow an exorcism, hoping to free her from whatever plagued her. Father Richard Moore, a seasoned exorcist, was called upon. He arrived at the Rose household armed with holy water, a crucifix, and the unwavering belief that faith would drive out the evil. Emily, bound to her bed for her own safety, thrashed violently as he began to pray. Her screams were inhuman, guttural and layered as though multiple voices spoke at once. The room grew unbearably cold. Shadows writhed along the walls, and an invisible force seemed to press against everyone present. Emily contorted grotesquely, her body bending in ways that should have been impossible. She mocked the priest, her voice an eerie blend of her own and something far more ancient. For hours, Father Moore recited prayers, commanding the demon to leave. The battle was fierce. Emily convulsed, foam dripping from her lips, her eyes rolling back. At one point, she levitated off the bed, her body stiff as if held by unseen hands. The demon laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down the spines of everyone present. Then, as dawn approached, Emily let out an ear-splitting shriek. A final convulsion shook her to the core before she collapsed onto the bed, still and silent. The room fell deathly quiet. Father Moore, drenched in sweat, made the sign of the cross over her frail body. For the first time in months, Emily's face looked peaceful. She had been freed, but at a great cost. Her body was weak, and her mind, forever scarred by the horrors she had endured. The family, grateful yet shaken, held on to their faith, believing Emily had been a vessel for a battle beyond mortal comprehension. The case of Emily Rose would go on to divide skeptics and believers. Some saw it as a tragic case of misdiagnosed illness, while others believed she had fought, and survived, a true demonic possession. Regardless of what people believed, one thing remained certain: the horror Emily endured would never be forgotten.